You voted and the results are in. The top 10 must-add players for this week in fantasy baseball is coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello sports fans and welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. I've got your top 10 hottest players to pick up for week 13 in fantasy baseball. I want to thank all of you for casting 781 total votes, which was the driving force behind this week's list. Now before I reveal the list, if you're a fan of this content, please smash that like button. And if you're new here and appreciate quality fantasy baseball insight, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so that way you don't miss an episode. Also, keep an eye out for the polls on who you should be picking up ahead of week 14. Do you have a burning fantasy baseball question? Ask me on Q. Go to askmeonq.com/beattheodds, submit your question, and for a small fee, I will personalize a response and send it to your email. It's super easy to do, and it's a great way to get fantasy baseball advice while also supporting this channel. Now let's kick off this list at number 10. We've got Tyler Soderstrom, 45% owned, 50% of the catcher's votes this week. 9 runs, 5 homers, 12 runs batted in, and a .326 average over the last 2 weeks. Now with Shea Langoliers and Tyler Soderstrom, the Athletics are blessed with catcher-eligible power hitters. Now truthfully, Soderstrom spends most of his time at first, and we appreciate the flexibility because of that. He has been prone to strikeouts, but the second-year player has been turning heads at the plate. He has 30 home run power, and he could be a great option if your team is lacking a productive catcher. Let's go to number 9. We have Mark Vientos, 31% owned, 49% of the third baseman's votes this week. 6 runs, a homer, 5 runs batted in, and a .250 average over the last 2 weeks. Now, Vientos is coming off a rough couple of games, going 0 for 9, resulting in the team giving him an off day on Saturday. But make no mistake, he is the team's undisputed starter at third, and he is very, very good there. He has profiled as an excellent fastball hitter, posting a .339 batting average this season. This Mets lineup is starting to find its groove, and Vientos will likely benefit greatly from it. Moving on to number 8, we have Zach Neto, 27% owned, 52% of the shortstop's votes this week. 7 runs, 3 homers, 9 runs batted in, a stolen base, and a .275 average over the last 2 weeks. Neto exited yesterday's game with a calf injury, but it looks minor, and he should be back in the lineup on Monday. That's great. That's a very good thing, given that he has been a great source of production for his team. He's showing off his power and speed and is on pace to go 20-20 this season. His inability to draw walks will keep him from leading off for the Angels, but he's showing off enough talent to be worth a look on your roster. Let's go to number 7. We have Nick Gonzalez, 41% owned, 51% of the second baseman's votes this week. 5 runs scored, a homer, 3 runs batted in, and a .227 average over the last 2 weeks. Gonzalez has had a rough week, but he still makes a savvy pickup for managers looking to bolster their infield. He's strong and fast with some serious pedigree, and despite his recent struggles, he still has been hitting in the middle of the Pirates lineup. Now, he hasn't been active on the base pass as much as one would like, but he's still a good candidate for double-digit steals this season. Moving on to number 6, we have Matt Waldron, 57% owned, 37% of the pitcher's votes this week. Win, 8 strikeouts, a 1.93 ERA, and a .86 whip over the last 2 weeks. Now, this might be the last week that you can actually pick up Waldron. His knuckleball has been confusing opponents all season long. Mixing in his 91-mile-per-hour fastball gives him a 13-mile-per-hour speed gap with his knuckle, which has been one of the reasons why Waldron has collected 44 strikeouts off that pitch. The other, of course, is the fact that the league has yet to adjust to his knuckleball, and that might not happen for a while. Let's go to number 5. We have Jackson Chourio, 59% owned, 27% of the outfielders' votes this week. 5 runs scored, a homer, 6 runs batted in, and a stolen base, and a .257 average over the last 2 weeks. Now, Chourio is not a lock for everyday at-bats anymore, which is why his ownership has dipped below my 60% threshold. But this is your cue to pick him up. We're talking about a hitter that can still put another 10 homers over the fence this season and could end up with 30 stolen bases. He has had problems adjusting to the major league pitching with a strikeout rate over 26%, but he could get back below 20%. That was the line that he had posted in the minors last year. Let's go to number 4. We have Carlos Santana, 29% owned, 51% of the first baseman's votes this week. 9 runs scored, 3 homers, 13 runs batted in, a stolen base, and a .356 average over the last 2 weeks. The 38-year-old switch hitter has been red hot at the plate over the last couple of weeks. The stolen bases have been a treat and obviously not something to expect, but the first baseman has been a great source of production, driving in 15 runs in June. With Royce Lewis back in the fold and swinging a hot stick, a couple spots ahead of Santana in the lineup, Santana should be able to continue to be productive in the weeks to come. Let's go to number 3. We have Taj Bradley, 50% owned, 31% of the starters' votes this week. A win, 14 strikeouts, a 1.38 ERA, and a 1.08 WHIP. This isn't much of a hot take, but Taj Bradley looks like an ace in the making. He has 2 bona fide strikeout pitches, that of course being his fastball, and his nasty split finger pitch that has an expected batting average of only 144. His fastball is hittable, and he'll have to do a better job of keeping his pitches away from opponents' barrels, but he is striking out 28.8% of hitters, which will help him erase any mistakes that he might pitch. Let's go to number 2. We have Jesse Winker, 50% owned, 32% of the outfielders' votes this week. 6 runs scored, 2 homers, 6 runs batted in, a stolen base, and a 281 average over the last 2 weeks. Now, if Winker played on any other team other than perhaps the Reds, we wouldn't be talking about adding him. The Nationals have already stolen 104 bags as a team, and Winker has contributed 12 of them. He has only 15 stolen bags in his 8-year career, however, so it's very difficult to predict where he's going to end up for stolen bags this season. If you're going to pick him up, get him for his 25-homer upside, not his 16th percentile speed. And finally, at number 1, we have Devin Williams, 60% owned. He took in 66% of the relievers' votes this week, and of course, he's been injured all season. This was an interesting case of availability. The latest news has D-Will nearing mound work, which might get him back into the bullpen around the All-Star break. Now, if that happens, he's going to be among the league's best relievers to close out the year. Williams was the first closer off many draft boards before his injury, so if he happens to be available on your wire, he is absolutely worth the stash until we find out more information. And that's going to do it here for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video and, of course, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I am going to sign off for now, but I will catch you guys on the next episode.